Namaste. Welcome to our channel Kundalini Secret Science of Yoga.
Today, we're taking a deep and frankly fascinating dive into one of the most profound questions we can ever ask ourselves. We're going to explore a really brilliant synthesis of physics, biology, and ancient philosophy to trace humanity's epic evolutionary journey. Because, this isn't just a look back at how we got here, it's really about where we're going. We're unpacking the Vedic perspective on evolution, which takes our entire biological history and reframes it completely. It tells us this isn't just random chance, it's a deliberate cosmic journey toward higher consciousness. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the fundamental question that kicks off our whole exploration today. We look around, right? We build skyscrapers, we fly to space, and we generally tend to think of ourselves as the absolute pinnacle of existence. But are we? Is our current physical form, this exact body that you and I are in right now, is that the end of the evolutionary line? Or are we actually just a stepping stone on the way to something entirely different? Well, the source material we're unpacking today makes a pretty bold claim. The human race, as we know it, is definitely not the final stage. If we look closely at the text, it beautifully lays out this concept that the human race today is really just the best outcome of a very, very long, what it calls a hoary past of evolution, meaning an incredibly ancient, incredibly distant history. We're the current champions, for sure, but the human being still has major stages to march through before reaching any sort of ultimate completion. Think about it. Our ancestors were simple, single-celled organisms, and yet across this unimaginably vast timeline, we arrived here. The text basically challenges us to realize that, just like that ancient amoeba couldn't possibly fathom a human being, we might be totally blind to the ultimate stage that we are currently marching toward. So, tracing that massive timeline, the text presents a really unique, deeply philosophical view of this whole biological journey. It starts way back with the amoeba, living this primitive life in muddy waters, completely devoid of higher cultivation. But some of these organisms, pushed by a natural drive for what the text kind of wonderfully terms cultural habits or cultivation, elevated themselves into the hydra. Then, eons later, they became the jellyfish. The jellyfish cultivated itself toward the fish, which eventually adapted to feed its young, becoming a mammal. And man? Well, man is described here as the best form of mammals, the outcome of a continuous, disciplined, and restrained life that's constantly striving toward perfection. It's literally framing biological adaptation as a form of cosmic discipline. And this brings us to a really fascinating intersection, where physics meets philosophy. Let's take a look at exactly how Vedic wisdom views the physical human body within this massive cosmic context. Now, what's really interesting here is the sharp pivot it illustrates in our evolutionary strategy. Think about the animal kingdom. Animals have these incredibly specialized physical tools built right into their biology. A bird has self-buoyancy and wings to soar through the sky, right? A fish has gills. But humans? We just stopped relying on physical animal traits. We were perfectly satisfied with our 2 legs and 2 hands, mostly because we figured out how to utilize the forces of nature for our own service. I mean, we don't need wings because our hands can build spaceships to fly to other planets. We don't need gills because we build submarines to dive deep into the ocean. But to get to this amazing point of mechanical and intellectual mastery, we actually had to let go of a lot. Evolution, according to this material, is fundamentally about getting rid of past instruments of behavior. Just think about the biological tools we actively discarded along the way. We disowned the fin of the fish and the wings of the bird. We literally traded away the far side of an eagle and the deep-smelling faculty of a dog. We even lost the free movement of our ear organs. And yeah, the tail enjoyed by monkeys. We left all of these physical advantages behind simply because we no longer needed them to survive. And, nature forces this kind of intense adaptation all the time. The text shares this really surprising observation about wasps. Get this. In the rainy season, when they cluster around a lamp, they will actually break away their own tiny wings just to ease their movement on the ground. They literally modify their own bodies under the immense pressure of environmental adaptation. It perfectly proves that holding on to an old instrument, especially when it no longer serves your current environment, is a hindrance, not a help. So the crucial point is this. Physically speaking, when you compare us to the animal kingdom, humans are actually quite limited. We can't fly, we can't see for miles, we can't track scents through a forest. In yogic terminology, a human is termed as kshipta, which translates to a limited concern. But here's the catch. This wasn't a downgrade, not at all. It was an incredible evolutionary trade-off. We became limited in our external physical faculties, specifically so we could tremendously develop our super internal faculties, namely our highly advanced brain and nervous system. We essentially traded the physical wing for the mind that could invent the airplane. But here is where the human story takes a massive turn. Even with our brilliant brains, our submarines, and our spaceships, we are restless. As the text states, we are simply not satisfied with the dreary, slow march of natural evolution. Natural evolution takes a hoary future, literally millions of years, to bring about perfection. And humans, we are impatient. We want a shortcut. We want to be able to travel to any part of the globe in an absolute instant. Essentially, humanity is constantly trying to find a way to step outside of time itself. We just don't want to wait for biology to catch up. And this intense desire for a shortcut introduces a somewhat dense but absolutely vital concept from the text, Adhyatma. Now, it is incredibly important that we demystify this term right away. The source makes it crystal clear. Adhyatma is not a religion. It is not blind faith, and it is not some new ism. It is actually described as the most scientific march toward human perfection. Think of it as an internal scientific technology designed specifically to accelerate our evolution. If biology is the slow, scenic route, Adhyatma, or yogic life, is the express shortcut to ultimate completion. So how does the text suggest this express shortcut actually works? Well, it claims it happens through the ultimate evolution of the human mind, the yogi. The yogi essentially takes that classic human trait of discarding tools and pushes it to the absolute extreme. First, they discard even the need for outer material instruments, so no more submarines, no spaceships. Second, they refuse to be a slave to the external forces of nature. And third, they use all of nature's forces internally for their own service, becoming a total master of them without needing any external equipment whatsoever. They achieve on the inside what the rest of humanity is still trying to achieve mechanically. And because of this absolute internal mastery, the text boldly declares the yogi as the last terminus of evolution. Just take a second to think about what that actually means. A complete yogi is a self-contained, perfect evolution. Because they have achieved total mastery internally, there is absolutely zero need for nature to go and create some new physical species beyond humanity just to reach completion. The human physical frame, when it's combined with this internal scientific march, is the final physical vessel required. Reaching this terminus brings us to the ultimate state known as mukti. This is it, the final emancipation of the human race. It's this breathtaking, profound moment where both the physical frame and the jivatma, which is the soul or the inner self, reach a stage of absolute completion. When this stage is finally reached, there is no longer any need for that perfect yogi to take a new birth. The entire evolutionary cycle of constantly acquiring new bodies, new instruments, and new forms, it is totally, finally finished. But that raises a big question. What actually happens to someone who achieves this state while they are still alive? The text provides this deeply beautiful metaphor to explain it. An emancipated being remains in their physical frame only until their allocated cosmic work is finished. They are compared to a mechanical clock. That clock keeps on ticking just as long as the tension of its spring continues. But once that tension completely unwinds, the ticking stops, the evolutionary work is done, the physical instrument has served its absolute highest purpose, and ultimate completion is realized. And this brilliantly illustrates that these aren't just modern philosophical musings, right? These are ancient, deeply rooted sciences. The text actually references the ancient wisdom of the Gita, pointing out specific Sanskrit verses that describe these emancipated muktas, the beings who have successfully reached the very end of this evolutionary line. In these ancient texts, they are described as being entirely self-satisfied, existing in a permanent state of transcendent consciousness. They have literally completed that hoary march that began millions of years ago in the muddy waters with the amoeba. So we've traveled all the way from single-celled organisms through the discarding of fins and wings to the tremendous development of our nervous system, all the way to the final terminus of mukti. It fundamentally changes how you look in the mirror, doesn't it? Your body isn't just biology, it's a remarkably complex vehicle refined over eons, just waiting for you to utilize its ultimate internal capabilities. So I'll leave you with this final thought to reflect on. If our physical evolution as a species really has reached its peak, what is the next step in your own inner scientific march?
The purpose of this YouTube channel is to spread the age-old ancient Vedic knowledge of Bharat. Subscribe and share the video if you liked it. Thanks.